Hi, I'm Paul Norman. I'm editor of CoStar News, and I'm here with Andy Miles, the main man and co-founder, I think, behind Realla. So, Andy, how did you come to start Realla?
Hey, Paul, and hello, everyone who might be watching this. So how did I come to start Realla? Well, it started when I met my now friend and business partner, and also Realla's CTO, Ian Parry. And this was back in 2014, sometime at the beginning of 2014. And Ian had started one of the early residential portals in the UK, a company called Globrix, which ended up being sold to Zoopla, who ended up becoming Zoopla. There were a couple of acquisitions in there. And Zoopla, for our non-UK viewers, Zoopla is one of the two leading residential portals in the UK. So the market structure is a duopoly. And Ian founded one of the businesses that ended up being amalgamated into one of the leaders. And he did quite well out of that. So he has an expertise as a CTO building portals and also an expertise in big data and SEO and SEM and the other skill sets that are required to put together a great portal. And in my case, I just turned 30. I had been dreaming of starting a business for some time and realizing that if I didn't do it then, I probably never would. I was working at British Land, which is one of the big real estate investment trusts in the UK. I was loving working in commercial property. I also had quite a few ideas fizzing around for starting a business, one of which was a portal. And I was asking myself the question as to why there was no good commercial portal in the UK. And at that time, I met Ian. We got on, we started talking. We literally started talking about the idea in a coffee shop, realized we had good complementary skills. And over the course of a few months, that led to us founding a business and starting Realla and raising a bit of money to get it going.
And so you've had the idea, you've met Ian. What were the greatest challenges in getting it started and up and running?
I think probably the greatest challenge initially was raising the money. Now, I imagine a lot of entrepreneurs would say that.
How did you do it?
I mean, the simple truth is raising money is hard. It's hard when you don't have a great network. I think it's probably one of those things much easier second time round if you have a network, if you have a track record, and if you know exactly what you're doing. We had none of those things. So we started out talking to wealthy contacts in the property industry, and we had a few false starts. And eventually we were led to the door of Kirsch Family Office, which is a very large family office in the UK that invests in property around the world, including UK, America, Australia, and South Africa. And they loved the idea. And a couple of conversations later, that led to them investing £500,000, which was the first meaningful sum of money we got in, and that really got us going. I guess what's hard about raising money as well as not knowing how is it distracts from running the business day to day. So we raised a couple of subsequent rounds before we got acquired, and it was always that challenge for me, especially. You take time out from selling and marketing and trying to push the business forward to raise money, and both of those aspects suffer. So you have that juggling act. Another thing which is extraordinarily hard is just selling, frankly. It always takes longer, especially selling software into a market where there are incumbent products. It is extremely hard to get an incumbent software product out of a business and convince that business your product is better. So the first sales took longer than expected. We did make some, thank God, and then we made some bigger ones, and we got a bit of a snowball rolling, and that helped get us going. But I had this kind of misconception that you'd walk into a business with a better product and they'd automatically buy it. And the simple truth is, it often takes months and many conversations before they pull the trigger and actually buy it.
Yeah, and you've touched on some of the things already there, but I mean, what were the big things you learned from that whole process?
Definitely a lot about selling software. Related to that is building a team, building a sales team from scratch. It's a hard thing to do, even when you've done it before. Getting the right personalities and the right skills on board. I'd say the same about marketing as well. When we started Realla, I knew a tiny bit about selling, but really not much. I knew absolutely nothing about marketing. So building a marketing team from scratch when you don't even know what you should be doing and who you should be hiring was very challenging. I relied a lot on a couple of investors who had done that before, and also plenty of blog posts to kind of lead the way. And I think we did through a combination of sort of luck and a little bit of judgment. We did a fair job on all of that. What else can I say? Choosing the right investors is important. You need investors that are long-term, that you get on with well on a personal level. Really doesn't work if you don't. By long-term, I mean like prepared to stick it out and help you out if the results aren't instant. And people that help and don't interfere. And again, I think it was it certainly wasn't just
they sound a very rare breed, all of them, to have all of those things together.
So they are a very rare breed. I think we had most of them, and I count myself very lucky. It was a sort of combination of luck and judgment there. Having family offices behind us was good, because they do tend to take longer time horizons than, say, venture capital firms do.
So talk through, what was just tell us a little bit about what the proposition was, but also how the deal with CoStar then came about.
So Realla is a portal for commercial property. There's really not much more to it than that, except we just try to be a very, very good portal and very, very specialist on commercial property. So we only show commercial buildings on the site, offices, retail, industrial, and other smaller use classes, from doctors' surgeries to car parks, for example. And the whole user experience is focused around trying to search for an office in the easiest possible way, and the advertiser experience is focused on like trying to advertise an office or a retail park in the best possible way. So, for example, reflecting the fact that you have Zone A rents in retail, reflecting the fact that sometimes you want to advertise by square foot in offices, and sometimes you want to advertise by per desk. So we try and reflect those sector differences. And then we provide a very high service. So we help our clients write their ads. We provide media. So we provide Matterport tours. We even provide videos and drone footage on the highest tier of ads. So it's a high-end product. And our aim hasn't really changed from the beginning. I mean, we set out to make a better commercial portal and hopefully to become the biggest and the best in the UK. And we're still on that road, and we're probably kind of five years into a 10-year journey. And that journey was an independent business to start with, and now it's with CoStar.
So talk us about how that happened, how CoStar tied up and came and bought you.
Well, it's a nice story, and it all happened very quickly. It was back in summer of 2018, kind of June, July time. Andy Florence came over to Europe, and he went to a conference, a startup conference. I think it was in Paris. And over the course of 2 or 3 days, he literally prospected 150 commercial prop tech startups in Europe. So he met all the ones at the conference. He did a load of online research along with a couple of guys in the London office looking at businesses in the UK and all over Europe. And of the 150 or so businesses that took his fancy, and I don't think there were many, so we were very lucky. Realla was one. And we got asked if we'd like to come in for a meeting. And it so happened that we were doing a fundraise at the same time. We didn't tell Andy that when we first met him, because obviously in these situations you don't want to put all your cards on the table at once. But we started to have a conversation around what we thought the commercial portal market should look like in a few years' time, and what a leading product should look like. And clearly he had strong and very highly developed views from running LoopNet in the States. And we got on well, and it was a kind of a good meeting of minds. And after a couple of meetings, CoStar asked us if we would be interested in potentially selling them the business. As I said, we were midway through a fundraise, so that then catalyzed the conversation very, very fast. And we actually had a deal done in 3 months from that first initial meeting. So it happened very, very quickly. And for us, in essence, I mean, what it boiled down to was the prospect of becoming part of CoStar was more attractive for us at that time than going it alone, with all the dilution, dilution from taking on additional capital and uncertainty that comes with that.
Okay. And I mean, was it a particularly stressful period? It doesn't sound like it. It sounds like it went relatively well, and obviously with you all got on pretty well on all sides.
It's funny you said that. It was definitely a stressful period. It went well, and the outcome was a good one, and it went quickly. So compared to some deals, it probably was quite smooth. But if I sort of take you back to our shoes at that time, so Ian and I were trying to run the business and do a fundraise at the same time, and then we entered into a sales process at the same time. So it was 3 big jobs. And we had no internal finance person. All our accounting was outsourced to an accounting firm. We had no in-house legal team, because you don't, when you're 20, we were 22, team of 22 at that time. You certainly don't have a general counsel on your team. So I was trying to play the role of CEO, kind of legal lead on the deal, and financial lead on the deal, all at the same time. And we had a small law firm representing us, and they did a very good job, but they were small, up against kind of CoStar's army of professional advisors, of PwC and Osborne Clark, and really top flight large legal and accountancy firms representing them. So they clearly created a lot of due diligence requests, which we had to respond to. So it was a pretty stressful and demanding time, albeit definitely one of the richest learning experiences of my life. And I'm sure others will relate to this, at periods when you're working incredibly hard and under intense stress, providing you get through it, they definitely end up being some of the best learning experiences. It did overall, it was good though. To take the hat off to CoStar, when we agreed to deal with them up front, they didn't deviate from those deal terms through due diligence. So I'd like to think both sides were kind of extremely open and honest at each stage of due diligence. There was no attempt to move the goalposts or renegotiate anything. We tried to do what we said we would. CoStar did what they said they would at the beginning of the deal, and it was a happy ending. It was a good result.
What's it been like integrating then from a 22 people to a huge business, obviously with many different strings to its bow?
Again, almost a bit like the answer to the last question, I'd say difficult when I look back on it. Definitely a challenging time. Probably smooth in the context of how some integrations go, because there's no doubt like business integration is a difficult topic. I'd say things like the financial side and the technology side were relatively smooth. They're fairly hard work to get our back end and our business processes and stuff aligned with CoStar's. It's fairly smooth. What's harder is definitely cultural change. You can't force cultural change. So,
but luckily, of course, you were sat very close to the news team. So when you joined, so
luckily we were sat very close to the news team, who were very welcoming, very close to the marketing and sales teams as well. Again, super welcoming. So that helped. And I think what CoStar probably got right, definitely got right in retrospect, was they allowed us to sit together and stay as Realla for a period, and for the kind of the cultural integration to start to take place quite naturally. We moved into a fancier new office in the Shard, but we continued to behave as Realla as a business unit for a while, and then more naturally integrated with CoStar. And I think that's a very good way of doing it. And now the integration is much deeper than it was just after the transaction. So, for example, people have moved across from CoStar teams to the Realla team. One of our salespeople has very successfully left Realla to become head of sales for CoStar in London, so that's a great move for him. And we've naturally become much more integrated, and we're more kind of one team 18 months down the line than we were obviously when we were acquired.
So, what is the longer term strategy for Realla now? How has it been shaped, and what are you looking at?
So I'd say the headline strategy remains the same, in that we want to build absolutely the leading commercial portal in the UK and be the best partner to the agency and owner community looking to advertise commercial property. So that stays. The things that have changed are we're now trying to do it faster. So we've got bigger budgets to play with, which is great. Bigger marketing budgets and bigger technology budgets, so we can move faster. We also have a large base of CoStar customers to try and sell into. So that's definitely speeding things up and helping us sell a bit faster, grow the business a bit faster, which is great. And then the final thing is, with my kind of combined CoStar Realla hat on, there's terrific synergies to having the two businesses sit side by side. So we have the same customer base for the CoStar information product and the Realla marketing product. So it's great synergy there. And then we share the same databases at the back end. So Realla is now fed at the CoStar database, which gives us a higher quality and richer information on Realla. Also, the crawling technology that we used pre-acquisition to gather data for Realla, which was very attractive to CoStar, that's now been rolled out, and we use it to gather data in the United States and in France, and soon in Germany as well. So we're using that crawling technology on a much bigger scale to benefit CoStar than we were before. So nice synergies there as we try and build the two sides of the business.
Yeah. And on a sort of broader picture as well, I mean, how, you mentioned, I think it was 2014, over the last 6 years, how has, technology and real estate changed? What are the trends now that weren't there then?
It's changed. What's helpful, I think, is to kind of, if we take a step back and try and think about it on a 10 or 20 year view, commercial property has definitely been slower to adopt cutting edge technology than some other industries, some consumer industries, for example. And the US is definitely ahead of the UK and Europe. So maybe we're 3 to 5 years behind the US. So if we're kind of if we're kind of at the beginning if we're still fairly early on in, I think, like a 20-year journey to adopt cutting-edge technology as an industry, and all that we've really seen so far is some change to agency workflows, for example, like and some use of technology in the valuation space, for example. But we haven't really moved that far beyond using widespread use of Microsoft Excel and Microsoft tools in commercial property. Many players in this industry still don't use a CRM, or if they do have a CRM, if they have a tool like Salesforce or Dynamics or Pipedrive, they don't really use it properly. Only 20% of the people in the organization might actually use it properly. So, I still think we're fairly early days in terms of the benefits that technology can bring to this industry, and I find that quite exciting. I mean, even with CoStar, which is a reasonably mature business in this space, we've only scratched the tip of the iceberg, I think, in terms of the potential. And Realla, we're still super early doors in terms of the potential. So I find all that very, very exciting.
Okay, now we're pretty much coming towards the end of our time to chat, Annie. But one last question: does Realla have any plans for Europe? What's its plans for the rest of the continent?
Yes, we do. So we're spending 80-90% of our time on the UK at the moment, but there's definitely an international ambition there. There's an international ambition for CoStar as well, and the two are clearly side by side. So I think watch this space over the next few years, and you should start to see CoStar going more and more international. We are, with the STR acquisition, which is our hotel data company, we are now much more international as a business than we were before. But the main CoStar product is still mostly in the US and Canada and the UK. So I think expect to see that start to spread into continental Europe and beyond, and with Realla alongside it as well. So watch this space over the next few years. Hopefully it's going to be an exciting story.
Will do. Thank you very much, Andy. Great to catch up.
Thanks, Paul.